Hello, I'd like to talk about my life, about agoraphobia, and I would like to start by an introduction, a little about myself. Please bear with me, it's the first time I ever made a video. I have suffered from agoraphobia-panic disorder since the age of 9. I am in my early 50s. I have struggled most of the time being homebound and having trouble to get out there. I'd like to start with telling you a little bit about myself. I live in a small city. I live in the United States. I live with my elderly father and an older brother. I'm not married. I've never been married. I'm single. I don't have any children. I have pets. I have some cats. I am diagnosed as agoraphobia-panic disorder, major depression, post-traumatic syndrome, claustrophobia, post-traumatic syndrome. I also have some physical illness that I have to deal with also, which is osteoarthritis, a little of rheumatoid arthritis. I have arthritis in both knees, very badly, in lower back and right hip. I have sciatic nerve damage. I have IBS. I have acid reflux, retinal eye problems in both eyes, a macular hole in one eye, can only see to read with one eye, have 90% of the loss of feeling in my right hand and some of my fingers due to injury, and I've been going through since 9 years old emotional abuse and physical abuse. I'd like to start, I guess, presently saying what medications I'm on. I'm on Xanax. I am on Norpramine, which is the generic brand for that is Diazepam. I'm on Trazodone. I have been on those medications for over 20 years. I haven't found any other meds that have been helpful. Presently, I cannot walk a street away, not only with with my panic, but also the physical illness. I suffer a lot of pain, which I cannot walk too well, and that plays in with the agoraphobia, making me a little nervous in venturing out far due to not being able, having a lot of pain. I also have some other phobias a little bit, of fears that I have difficulty going in an elevator since the age of 9 to now. If I go in an elevator, I come out of an elevator, I cannot stand up. I am very dizzy, sometimes for half an hour. As a child, I used to think it was funny, but, because someone could hold me up, but being an adult now, they can't do that, so I have to avoid elevators due to that. At 9, I was not claustrophobic. Today I am, so that makes it even worse. I also have difficulty riding in cars. I get claustrophobic in cars after some traumatic incident that happened to me. I like to start, from the age of 9, how it came on, what I've been through, to presently. I have a lot of people have told me that I should tell my story. I have a lot that I can share, and hopefully people can better understand agoraphobia, what we go through, what it's about. People who have it that are homebound will know that they're not the only person that's homebound seeing my video. The first sign of panic came on when I was 9. Shortly after, I had a traumatic incident where I was almost shot in the head. I felt the bullet touch my hair on my head. I was kind of in shock where I couldn't speak for almost a half an hour to tell anybody what happened. I remember my mother telling me, "You're pale. What happened? What's the matter?" I couldn't speak. It took me a long time before I could utter the word gun. What happened is an elderly man was kind of showing off his weapons to the children in the neighborhood, and I seen him put a bullet in the barrel of the gun, and another little girl asked, "Can I hold the gun?" And he let her, and she put her finger on the trigger, and she pointed it at me, and being afraid that it might go off, I attempted to run, and luckily I did, because it did go off. And she said she didn't know it was loaded, but seeing a bullet being put in the barrel, even at 9, you should know it's loaded. So after that, I left to go at a relative's house, and I was shocked, very shocked, what happened, and I didn't want to go home for a while. It took at the time my sister and an older sister I have, who doesn't live with us, and another person to come with me and walk me on the porch, because it happened in front of my house where I live. So after that, I went to school. I didn't live very far from school, across the street actually. Went to a Catholic school with nuns, and out of the blue I would feel like I'm going to pass out, start to feel like I'm going to die, a lot of horror, feeling, just a horrible feeling, and I needed to get out of there. And there was a few times where I couldn't handle it anymore. I just run out of the classroom and run home, and that didn't go over too well with the nuns. They sent truant officers after me to my house, when complaining that I had run out of the class. And more each day I started to be afraid to go to school, and because I would get the panic before school started. As soon as school was, a few hours before, I would start vomiting, diarrhea. I would just totally get very sick. And sometimes I made it to the class and I could stay, and other times I didn't even make it to the schoolyard. It got to the point where they sent truant officers at my house often, every time I was missing, and their attitude was very mean. They were very mean. They yelled at me. I am a very shy person. My mom was a very nervous person, and very, doesn't like problems, and the upsetness of the truant officers yelling and everything would make her cry. They would wait for me when I was in the bathroom being sick to my stomach from the panic to come out of the bathroom, and they would just grab me by the arm and bring me to school forcefully. They didn't care how much I cried, how I was scared, nothing. My mom took me to a physical doctor. He checked me, couldn't find any reason that it could be physical, even though I was told in the classroom I turned pale as a ghost and almost fainted. They did witness that, the nuns, that I would almost have fainting spells. So after a while, the physical doctor told my mom she needed to take me to a psychiatrist. At the time, none of my family knew what that even was, but so we looked into it, and my mom got me to a psychiatrist, and he told me what I was suffering from was school phobia. Now, he tried numerous kind of medications. Nothing helped with me. Some made my vomit worse. Some made me lose a lot of weight. Nothing helped my panic. This was in 1966, and in those days there wasn't much meds they could really use on a child. I continued to see the psychiatrist like every week, every 2 weeks, until I was 13 years old. And at 13 is when the school department just told me I couldn't come to school anymore if I couldn't go every day. I switched school from Catholic school because the principal was beating me up, hitting me, due to the fact that I was missing school. She would grab me by the clothes and slam me against the wall. You don't come to and put her fists up to me and say, you miss one more day, I'm going to beat you. It's so hard. The truant officers, they used to wait in the morning. I'd see them park outside. As soon as they seen I didn't go to school, they were right at my door. Even though at times I had a doctor's paper that excused me from school, to take a week or two off and try to relax and feel better before going back. They didn't care. They took the paper and they just tore it up. They continued to hound me that if I didn't go to school every single day, that I would be put in training school to the age of 21 years old. I did not have no police records other than not going to school from my panic and agoraphobia. I never got in trouble before. I'm very shy. I was a very shy child. And they used to hound me, make me read a paper over and over that if I do not go to school, I'm going to court and I'll never see my parents again and I won't be able to communicate with my family and I'll be locked up there till 21. And so eventually my mom figured maybe if we'd put me in public school, maybe the stress at school, because, you know, the nuns are pretty rough, pretty tough, and maybe a switch of school would help. So I went to public school. Again, I would come in some days okay, and then some days I'd be missing. It got to the point where a student that was in the same class that didn't like me would run in and tell the teacher, I'm not coming to school anymore, every time I was missing a day. And then one day, you know, the teacher said, I don't want you as a student. They had rules in my city where you could only go in your district, so they wasn't able to switch me to another school, and they just told me, we don't want you anymore. My mom asked if she could hire a tutor, if there was a tutor to come at the house, so I could finish school, and they said to her, if you're concerned with my education, we could put her in training school till 21 and she'll get a good education there. So that was the end of the subject.